What do you think about threatening a line charge? Or failing a drug test as a sports total superstar? Or getting choked by an opponent? These examples of tennis scandals were talked about a lot back in their day, but they are nothing compared to the darkest hour in tennis. How's it going, folks? My name is Tanel and today we're gonna take a look at the infamous stabbing incident. Before that terrible day, Monica Seles was just 19 years old and had won 8 of the last 11 Grand Slams she had entered. Seles was also the world number 1 and many tennis experts thought that she could end up as the greatest tennis player ever. From January 1991 to the spring of 1993, Seles reached 33 finals and won 22 of them. Included in this run were 3 wins in slam finals versus her rival Steffi Graf. Overall, the Seles vs Graf rivalry was tuning up to be such a great one for many years to come. Alright, so the year is 1993 and we're at the Hamburg tournament in Germany. In the quarterfinals against Bulgarian Magdalena Maleeva, the world number 1 was leading 6-4 and 4-3. Then it was time for a changeover where the unthinkable happened. As Seles leaned forward to take a sip of her water, she felt a sharp pain in her back. Günther Barche, a German man obsessed with Graf, had plunged a 9-inch knife into Seles's back. I remember sitting there toweling off and then I leaned forward to take a sip of water. Our time was almost up and my mouth was dry. The cup had barely touched my lips when I felt a horrible pain in my back, Seles wrote in her autobiography. My head whipped around towards where it hurt and I saw a man wearing a baseball cap, a sneer across his face. His arms were raised above his head and his hands were clutching a long knife. He started to lunge at me again. I didn't understand what was happening. Luckily, before Barche had time to stab Seles a second time, her bodyguard stopped the 38-year-old and dragged him away. Seles would suffer a half-inch wound between her spine and left shoulder blade that required surgery. Had she not bent forward prior to the attack, there's a strong chance Seles would have been paralyzed. The attack, which took place in front of 6,000 horrified fans, changed the course of Seles's career forever. As for Graf, she visited Seles in the hospital in Hamburg that weekend, but from then on the two had minimal contact. At the time, no one thought that someone could attack a player on a tennis court. It was the beginning of 1990s and terrorist attacks weren't common. No one saw matches as risky and in need of special security. I was on top of the world, and the next moment I'm in the hospital, Seles has said. The impact of the attack on Seles was severe. She had been lucky. Barche missed Seles's spine and vital organs, and physically she recovered from the stabbing in less than a month. But Seles did not return to the tennis court for another 2 years. She had been shaken psychologically and struggled with PTSD, anxiety, depression and a sleeping disorder. There were the memories of the attack itself and its lingering aftershocks. In addition, her father was diagnosed with cancer just a couple of months after the stabbing. Man, I just feel so sorry for her. Although Seles triumphed at the Australian Open in 1996 and made 3 more Grand Slam finals, she was never quite able to regain the previous form. Seles wasn't the fearless player she had been prior to the stabbing. Yeah, the mentioned results are obviously really good, but you get the feeling that things could have been a lot different without the stabbing. Seles, who was born in Yugoslavia but after the stabbing incident represented USA, sustained a foot injury in 2003. She never played another competitive match after that year's French Open. As referred before, Barche was obsessed with the German star. His desire to see Graf return to the world number 1 spot prompted him to travel to Hamburg and stab Seles. The attacker Barche said that he had no intention to kill Seles and only wanted to injure her. He thought that by doing that, Graf could regain the number 1 ranking. But man, Barche's penalty was insanely soft. In addition to 6 months of pre-trial detention, he got just a 2-year suspended sentence due to his significant mental health issues. The expert witnesses at court concluded that he was a fanatic with a severe personality disorder. I'm not sure how much he really cared about that penalty though, because his mission was accomplished. Graf was back at number 1 just 5 weeks after the stabbing. Of the 10 Grand Slams Seles missed while absent, Graf won 6. The German went on to dominate the circuit with a total of 11 more Grand Slam victories after Seles was stabbed. Her 22 major victories now trail only Margaret Court and Serena Williams. Graf is for sure one of sports' greatest champions, but would she have won 22 Grand Slams if it weren't for that awful day in Hamburg? The answer is almost certainly not. So how good could Monica Seles have been? She already has an incredible 9 Grand Slams to her name and is obviously a Hall of Famer. Still, the questions such as what if remain. In 2013, a tennis legend Martina Navratilova claimed that Seles could have gone on to earn a record amount of slam titles. We'd be talking about Monica with the most Grand Slam titles ahead of Margaret Court and Steffi Graf, Navratilova said. I agree with Navratilova that there's quite a good chance that Seles would have become the greatest female tennis player ever. But I also get it that it's never easy to determine how a single event might have affected future outcomes. Nevertheless, the fact is that tennis history would look much different had this tragedy not happened. So that sums up the story of one of the darkest days in tennis ever. What do you think? Should Seles be talked more about when people discuss the greatest female players of all time? Let's discuss it in the comments section. As always, thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye bye.